imagined in his wildest imagination. And for him to say that he had never amount to Aldine, that was really a funny story.
Yes, it's a classic.
So you can see how well parents know what's going on.
Yeah.
Well, they try and do their best, and most of them work very hard at it. And so we're so glad that most of us have had parents that are really good and helpful for us, and we honor that.
Martha, how long will it be? Is Marilyn doing okay that she can go for an hour or more?
Oh, Marilyn's doing fine. She rested up today and just really took it easy and didn't put any pressure on herself. In fact, she stayed home. Can you imagine that? For her, that's quite an awesome thing. So she took it easy. Yeah, she's doing okay.
How long do you think I should let it go before I ask whoever's coming through her that it should be time to stop?
Why don't you say something about 10 or 5 minutes before an hour?
Okay, very good.
Okay. See you later, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I am John.
Hi, John. Hi, John.
And we have a lot of the people I know tonight. We know Angela. Good evening, Angela.
Hello, John.
And hello, Sunny.
Hi, John.
Glad to have you back.
Thank you.
And Mac, thank you for being here this evening.
I'm pleased to be here, John.
You are among the fair ladies tonight.
Yes.
And there's going to be more about that this evening. And Nancy, I did hear your news, and I want you to know how very much that message was to show and bring back a reflection to you of what a terrific job you have accomplished with your daughter Anna. That would never have happened if your heart had been different and you had not been so generous and compassionate for her handicap, and that she has such a loving home to be able to say that now she is grown into an adult is an amazing, amazing accomplishment. And I want you to know what accomplishment that has been and how much you are being applauded by your angels right now. They are here with you and they are just overjoyed with your success.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Well, you deserve every round of applaud that you get. It has been a long, long path, and I want you to know your guides have been with you all the way, even when you thought you were being deserted. And if you thought that you couldn't handle it, believe me, your angels gave you more strength. And so you had lots of help, I know. But you did the actual walking, put one foot in front of the other, and you showed up. And now you have something. We're going to put a big badge on your chest tonight. And you can just wear it proudly with those ribbons hanging from it. And it just says, congratulations.
Thank you.
You are so welcome. And we have another lady here who has accomplished exactly what we are trying to help you with in the last year and a half of channeling and learning how to move energy. She doesn't even know what she did, really. So we want to commend Angela. She's very shy about what happened, but she is to be commended because Ascension is all about learning how to change energy and shift it. And that's what third dimension is about, and moving on up, there will be more changing of energy and learning how to do that. You see, we can make life very I need words sometimes. Let's try uncomfortable for ourselves by trying to force solutions or have things go our way. And Angela came to me with a question about how to resolve a situation with her. Isn't it your nephew, Angela?
Yeah.
And I gave her some information, and she took the information, and with 24 hours, you said the whole situation was resolved?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Better than you could have imagined?
Better than I could imagine, and everything just fell into place one after another.
You see, why that happened, Angela?
Why is that?
Because your ego didn't get in the way.
That's very true.
You moved out of the way so that God's love could manifest and flow into the right dimensions of what he needed and what was best for him. and you allowed that to happen. And that is a marvelous, marvelous example of what spirituality is about. To move out of the way and allow God's love to flow in the directions that it needs to for better results than you can think of yourself. So Angela, you changed the energy. And that is a very profound example. I am commending and congratulating you also tonight, because people spend years in growth in spirituality and still don't get it. And you did. You actually walked it and saw the results of giving up your ego and how it takes the pain out of life. And that is a beautiful example that when you look for answers that you might not have and you pay attention and you follow directions, then amazingly enough, God can work. It's only our being in the way of God working that creates our pain and misery. And every time we can remove something in the way of that, do you see how much better it is? It is a marvelous example, Angela. You are to be applauded. Your angels are standing around you cheering and celebrating, and they're saying, she got it, she got it.
One time of the many.
What?
Thank you. One time of the many.
Well, but see, now that you see, the beautiful part is the results is that you trust yourself better, I bet.
Yeah.
I think that you're starting to see that it's okay to trust. And when you discover that in the faith, the answers are going to be better, why not go for it? What do you have to lose? Except your pain and misery. So it's really, the answers are right in front of us. Believe me, God's will is the softer, easier way. And you proved that, didn't you?
Yes.
And congratulations. And you have a big badge tonight, too. And you have ribbons coming down your congratulations badge. And we just want you to know we're so thrilled, and you're just getting cheered and cheered.
Thank you.
You are so welcome. It is so nice to have people come to these meetings where they actually know where they're trying to accomplish, and to actually have the successes like Nancy and Angela tonight. What terrific examples for other people to see that God's grace really is a beautiful place to be, and that anything that is in the way of that needs to be removed as soon as possible for life to get even better. And what is also making me think is that we're talking about the spiritual path tonight, and some of you think it's really a path. But I have some news for you. It's actually the amount of time it takes for you to accept how happy you truly are as who you are, and happy as where you are in your life, and how happy you are with what you have in your life. And when you can totally come into accepting that right now you have everything you need, and you have everything you are in for meeting what is ever in front of you at this time and space is right there for your taking advantage of it. And when you have come into totally accepting that, accepting how happy you truly are right now, then you have come to a place in your spiritual growth, which is an awesome place. The ego does not want you to be realizing how happy you are. It likes to create lots of distractions so that you can say how terrible the weather is, or how the computer didn't work today, or how things didn't go well at work, and you take your mind off. Right now you are in the presence of God. How happy else, what else could be as happy as that? So congratulations to all of you tonight for realizing and coming that one more time we can learn a little bit more about accepting who we are and our happiness, which is our inheritance. And I wanted to say a few words tonight about the journey, which we still call it the journey, but some of you understand today that your journey is actually right in front of your face. It's not really 10 miles down the road. It's just whenever you want to be in that acceptance mode, you have actually come to the effect and worked out your karma for that particular point in time. And as you focus on that, what you focus on grows, so that happiness can start to take place, not just for when that wonderful event happened, Angela, but you can let that happiness start to increase by thinking back on that wonderful feeling, and then feel it again and re-feel it and feel it again until gradually more and more of that feeling is who you are, and that you realize that's always who you have been. Anything else is just an illusion. I wanted to share tonight some information that I thought might be kind of interesting to you. Marilyn went to see a play Saturday night called My Fair Lady. Now, you people might think that's really quite a fun play to see, and it's quite enjoyable, but have you ever thought of it as your spiritual journey? It is a beautiful story for explaining what goes on the spiritual path to finding your happiness. If you notice or understand the story, Eliza goes, or she is actually selling flowers and is very much in poverty in her spirit. And she is not from the right side of the tracks, you might say. And because she's trying to eke out a living by selling flowers to those that are better off, and trying to be able to make enough to support herself by doing that, which is a very meager way to live in her case. It's basically with other street people, and they are all in need of roofs over their heads and decent food and clothing. And this one professor comes out and says that he can change her communication, he can change her speaking, and they would never know that she ever came from that place. So she decides to go and get some lessons for that to happen. So here we have a person in spiritual poverty who makes the decision to improve her communication, to be able to improve her lot in life, as she might have said. And she goes to his door and asks for lessons. Now, you might say she turned herself over to this fellow to teach her. He became her teacher, and she agreed to, after a period of time, they have some squabbles, however, but she agrees to do what is necessary to learn what she needs to learn. She agrees to pay for what she needs to learn in her lessons, not anything more than what is appropriate in price, but she agrees to take responsibility for her learning. And she has gone to the place where it can happen. So as they are progressing through her lessons, and it gets very tedious, and sometimes very long hours, and very sometimes overtiring. And I'm sure that if you've been on the spiritual path, you sometimes feel that way, how tedious sometimes the lessons pop up and you're tired, and do you have to do it one more time, and haven't you learned that one yet? And so there she is pursuing her lessons until one night it seems like she discovered a more correct way to say her vowels and speak more appropriately, and it becomes a celebration that night. And she sings that she could have danced all night. Now, do you see what happened? As she progressed and was very diligent in her lessons of growing and learning, her feelings were the reward. She could have danced all night. She was so happy. So instead of that downtrodden, as Higgins called her, gutter snipe, all of a sudden she has these wonderful, happy feelings that are coming over her, and she's thrilled to death with the successes of how that's worked out. Now, as she progresses in her lessons, you see, we are always in lessons, and you will never graduate. I hope I don't disappoint anybody tonight, but Angela, in starting to learn more about shifting energy, will continue to be doing that throughout the rest of her existence. Angela, don't give up. It's going to be just different lessons in energy shifting, okay? So as you progress through learning more of the specifics, refining it, maybe adjusting things here and there so you see the situation a little faster or can handle it as, a little more with confidence. And they take her to a place to practice what she's learned. And as you people have been on your spiritual path, you're out there in the world practicing right now what you've learned. You see, you are in ascension even if you haven't thought about it. Every time you're practicing changing that energy, you are ascending into a higher consciousness, and that's what ascension is. It's just higher consciousnesses. So, as you are working on that and adjusting and shifting and becoming more fluent and able and comfortable in this new way of communicating, because the energy flows much more easily when you communicate from love instead of from fear. And as she's learning this, she starts talking with some of the people at the horse race and gets into some of her old ways of conversing, which is not considered proper etiquette for a lady. Would be at that particular race place. It's always the high elite society that would do that, be at that spot. And here she's not talking that way, and she has made a mistake. So she has to continue practicing, and we all make mistakes, but we have to learn from them. And so she continues her studies, knowing that she can't make that kind of a mistake again if she's trying to pass herself off as a wonderfully educated, more highly bred person. And she gets to the dance where they are going to now proclaim that she is of better breed than what she actually is. And they have these various tests of people talking with her and thinking she's a great delight and she must be someone very special because she speaks so eloquently. And everyone is so taken with her, even the person who is the hardest one to fool. So you see, on the outside, she has been very successful, and they come home and they're celebrating, but they're celebrating by thinking that she has been just the object of the lesson. They ignore that she has feelings and is a person. And by now she's being treated so much better at Higgins' house by his friend, who is also staying there, part of the bet to see if she can actually pull it off. And he treats her like a lady, and she enjoys being treated like a lady, and she grows into the part. So when she is not being treated as if she's part of the celebration, but just a fixture of it, she does not get very happy about that, and decides that maybe it's time that she should leave, because she does not want to be just a doll, so to speak, or a robot that has been trained, but she's a person. And she moves out of the house and ends up at Higgins' mother's house. And Higgins' mother is very impressed that she wouldn't put up with Higgins' rudeness to her. And he comes to see his mother about this terrible thing that's happened. Eliza has left and he doesn't know what to do. And she applauds Eliza for having not stayed in that situation. As Higgins and Eliza visit with the mother being gone, and he wants her to come back, And she says no. And she sings this wonderful song, which really amounts to, why don't you go to H-E double toothpicks? And tells him that he's not God, and the oceans are still going to roll in, and the mountains are still going to be there, if he thinks so or not. And she wants nothing to do with the situation. And he realizes in her anger and her expounding that she does not have to be a child under tutelage any longer, that she has grown up. She has become a woman. And he likes that very much. However, she is not willing to sell her soul to stay in that old scenario, and refuses to go back at that point in time because she wants to be independent, take care of herself, and she knows her mind. So as the show progresses, he realizes how much he misses her. And at the very end, she does come back. Not because she is coming back out of the old victim-student relationship that had been going on before. She comes back empowered. Her choice is to be there because she knows it is a good place for her. And she is going to be able to stand tall in her own right and not sell out. Now, in the story of Pygmalion, the original story, she does not stay and come back. She actually does leave. But, you know, a musical has to have a happy ending. So it doesn't matter either way. She has grown into being my fair lady. And that's what all of you are doing here today, is realizing in the lessons and lessons, you're changing your communication, you're practicing it with others. You change things and realize that wasn't what you wanted, and then you go back and discover a better way, until you finally get to the point where you are ready to grow up and mature into adulthood. And what a delight that Anna could do that. In her way, she could do that. And that's what everybody is trying to accomplish. So it's a matter of growing spiritually inside until you have come to a maturation where you have your own soul, and you're not giving it away to others to take care of you, tell you what to do, be there to pick up all the pieces, rescue you through all the disasters, but to be able to stand on your own 2 feet and be the creator of your life. And that's really what the spiritual journey is. So I just want you all to know that if God is the King of Kings, then you ladies are all princesses, and that you have a chance now, if you never have thought of it before, to treat yourself like a princess. Treat yourself with love. Treat yourself with respect. Give to yourself, not only to others, but to yourself. Whatever is working for you, that is a treat for you. It might be a bubble bath, it might be an ice cream cone, it might be a special book you want to be able to have some time reading. Whatever treats yourself, do that. And Mac,
Yes.
you are a prince among men.
Well,
You are
thank
the son of God, just like we are all sons of God. You just happen to be called a prince. And you are to treat yourself like a prince. And you give so much to others. It's time for you to let some of that come back and flow back. It's about give and take, and you give, but it's time to really let the feelings of love come in and replenish what you give so freely, so that you're in the flow of things. That's what creates health for all of us. It's not just to give, but it's you are there to receive. And as a prince or a princess, you have all the inheritance of the kingdom of God. And that's the spiritual journey, is to accept and acknowledge that it's yours for the asking. And you don't have to wait for Christmas, and you don't have to say, I don't deserve it, I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough. Because as a princess, you do deserve it. It is your inheritance. And as a prince, you deserve it too, Mac. It's not just for ladies, you know. So I want you all to realize that instead of just being my fair ladies tonight, we also have a fair gentleman in our midst too. And you are all coming into this inheritance, which is your birthright. And that's the ascension, is bringing you into that place where you can stand and say and know who in your soul that you are coming into wholeness. You are coming into totally, unconditionally loving yourself. You are coming into knowing there's always abundance and prosperity. And if you choose to focus on the lack of, like she did, like Liza did when she was down in the lower part of London selling her flowers, but she could change her attitude and realize that she deserved better, she was better, and she owned it. And she held it strong within. And that's what we're all trying to come into, is to say to ourselves, this is who I am. It has nothing to do with what's going on around me. It has nothing to do with the economy. It has nothing to do with my mate. It has nothing to do with my children. And in some cases that can be a hassle for Marilyn. It has nothing to do with those things that can distract us and sometimes bring our energy down because we are feeling sad for whatever reason. So put your focus on that wonderful person you have always been and remember it, feel it, and let those feelings expand and expand until you come into a place where God is forever with you now, has been always with you, is now, and will be forevermore. God bless you all.
God bless.
I want to know if there were any questions, because last time St. Germain took the whole time. It was a wonderful talk, but he did not have time to ask anybody if they had a question.
I don't believe I have any, John.
If that is the case, then I would like to have Ariel come in. Archangel Ariel would like to do some blessings tonight. And so I would like to say good evening and many blessings to all of you as you move into your royalty and know that you are truly a royal person and that you can respect yourself, love yourself, and know that you are a child of a loving God that has more love for you than you can even imagine. So anytime something doesn't feel loving, move into your heart and start to feel it all over again. That is your birthright. Good evening and good blessings.
Thank you, John.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Good evening, Ariel.
And I'm very glad to be here tonight. And I just want you to know that John had such a wonderful message, and as you're moving into this ascension, as you're in it and it's moving further and faster, that you are really coming into loving yourself more than you ever have. You wouldn't be here if you weren't. So I just want you to know that God is forever in your heart, always has been. And if sometimes that little spark of divinity kind of doesn't glimmer very much, just take a moment out. And you know, there's a saying in the Bible, ask and ye shall receive. And so ask for that light to burn again and be bright again. Know that that little light inside of you is the light of God. That's your power. That's your love. And that's who you are. You are a light. You are a God. You are that person you've been looking for. And when you come home to your heart, you will find that you have really never left it. This whole thing has been like a dream. And you're waking up. And Ascension is saying, as you walk through the doors into grace, You're leaving behind all that dream, all the illusion that kept you out of grace. So anything you can do in your meditations, in your reveries of searching of how you might want to improve your life in new ways, that you're still looking and trying to change and to release the fears and the guilts, the resentments and the shames of your life. And as you change that, you take one more step into ascension, one more step into a higher consciousness. And in the Bible it talks about many mansions. In my house is many mansions. And those many mansions is every level of consciousness you move through. And as you move through those consciousness of higher perception and awareness, and move closer and closer to God, you are coming into your Godship. And I want you to actually really think of yourself that you are the creator of your life, and to create as beautiful a picture as you can imagine. Because as Angela proved, when you get the ego out of your life, and that's what the fifth dimension's about, it's going to be even better than you can imagine. And we talked about are you ready for the changes? The change, people, is within you. Have a very lovely evening, and I'm so glad you came. And if there's any comments or questions, I'll be glad to help you also.
I have a question, Ariel.
Yes.
We talk about the third and the fourth and the fifth dimension, and we also talk about the earth plane and the astral plane, which, as I understand, are just different ways of saying the same thing. My question is, how many dimensions are there before we're back at that level that we would consider where God resides?
Well, there are more levels than I could even begin to tell you. There is not even a word for it, Mac. But the Theosophists have put it into a very nice package. And I would suggest, I know you've done some studying of Theosophy, but they put it into 7 levels. And within those 7 levels are more 7 levels, and there's levels and levels and levels, and that aren't even described in there. So this is a lifelong, forever process. It is not easy to just give you a number. So just keep trucking, okay? Just know that when you put one foot in front of the other, you're getting where you need to be, and right now you're where you're supposed to be, and you're making good headway.
Thank you. That's a good answer, Ariel.
I just do the best I can. It seems to me that so often words limit us, and I don't want to limit you, Mac. You have so much, you have grown so much from your many, many lives, and to try to see, God does not have limits, and for anybody to try to limit your growth and to say you've accomplished that, it's not possible. There is no limits, and there's no stopping your growth, and it's always the energy is always moving and expanding. God is energy in expansion. So don't limit yourself, okay?
We'll try to do that. Thank you.
Any other concerns tonight? Well, you are all very special people tonight. You have come through some very difficult lessons, just like my fair lady. It's very arduous sometimes. Sometimes you want to quit and give up. May I suggest that you not even consider that. Just say, I'm going to take a little time out right now, and when I'm in better shape, onward and upward. There used to be an old camp song, I'm on the upward trail. Just remember to sing for yourself, I'm on the upward trail. And when you've had your little rest, just get back on the trail and onward and upward, and have a lovely evening. Good night to you all.
Ariel,
Yes?
do you have a message for Marilyn?
Wow, yes, I guess I could have a message for her. Her guides are very proud of her. She made some very interesting understandings and growth today in staying home. It was meant for her to have time to stay home and focus on herself and do some meditating. And in doing that, her guides were very happy because she did need that time and space and not get involved with running off to do whatever she likes to run off and do. And we want to commend her that she was so open to seeing her ascended masters. We were so glad that they could come and show themselves to her, and she was so delighted. Not many people would even think of that, but she wanted to see them, and the right circumstances occurred about a week ago, and we are so proud that she would be open to looking at that and wanting to be able to see what they look like and talk with them a little bit in a different way than usual. So we're just very proud of her practicing, that she's continuing on the spiritual path, but has a better awareness today that she is a happy person, and she's not looking for the happiness. She is happy today, and that is a huge accomplishment. So we just give her a lot of honor and want her to know that we love her all, and everybody on this side is cheering her on for her higher good too.
Thank you, Ariel. This is being recorded, so she will hear that.
Thank you for asking. She doesn't go for messages like she used to, and this will be a nice treat for her to hear. And before I go, I think I'd like to have, Mac, how much time do we have?
About 20 minutes.
Well, maybe we should just use that time in a special way tonight. Angela, we're going to tell you about a past life. Is that okay?
Well, I would love that. Thank you.
Dear, you are making more growth in your life than you give yourself credit for. The reason you took your nephew in, what was his name?
Anthony.
Anthony. In your heart, you didn't want what happened to you in a past life to happen to him. This is a beautiful thing. Have you ever seen the movie Pay It Forward?
No. Oh, I think so.
Where the people pass on
I think I know what it's about, but I haven't seen it.
wonderful things to them. Well, this is what you did. You had a past life. Let me see when it was. At the turn of the century, they're showing me that you have mutton arm sleeves on your blouse and a black tie ribbon that crosses at the neck, and your hair is high on your head and a long dark skirt. And at the turn of the century, you were a young girl without a place to go. The best you could do was to hire out into a rich family. And you became a scullery maid. Now, this is not really what you wanted, but it was called survival. They provided a room and food for you while you worked in the kitchen. And that pretty much was your life. You stayed there, and the family was good to you, but you wanted better for your family if you ever had one, and you didn't. You stayed and spent your life living with them and being a servant to them, and you always wanted something better. And you knew that if you ever had the opportunity your life would have gone differently. And what you did in this life was to provide somebody that is needing a proper home and proper upraising and the ability then at some point to go out and be their own person and be able to have their own life. You have given somebody a life. You have healed a great amount of your karma by doing this, dear.
Thank you. And may I ask a question about that?
Yes.
So now that I've, in this life, provided myself with all the opportunity and have gotten where I wanted to be for the most part, and gotten the education and am totally independent, is that why I never feel like it's good enough to have kids yet? I always, that might be a lesson, so that makes sense.
I think you have found your answer, dear. Isn't it amazing how these things work out?
Yes.
If I had told you that, you wouldn't have had the energy. See how good you are at shifting energy? You found your answer. I wish you well in exploring that.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Sunny, can I come to you?
Yes, please.
All right. You are a very old soul. Have you heard that before?
Oh, yeah.
You came down in spirit to have a great time playing with energy. You became so entranced in the third dimension. You were one of the people who became part human and part animal. Have you heard of what they call myths? There used to be mermaids, and there used to be centaurs and other half animals, half people that were on the earth at one time in a very low dense energy of planet Earth.
Okay.
And you were one of those that played in that spectrum and found yourself caught up in the density and couldn't get yourself back out of it. You are one person who has overcome eons of years, little by little, moving into the light of lighter energy so that you can finally move out of that old paradigm that you put yourself into, and you have moved and grown through eons of years. There was a time in one of your past lives you were at the Temple of Beauty, and they had to do some operating to remove the animal-like features that were still not totally evolved from your changing back to being a human rather than part animal. And you went through that, and you have continued over the eons of years to grow into understanding how this energy works. You have a huge reservoir of wisdom about all of this that at some point in time you're going to open up to and share with others. You have become a very enlightened soul because you came from such deep, dark, dense place. And you see, the deeper and darker, the higher you can go, and you have done that. You have come into a high consciousness. When we say there are many dimensions, you have been going floor to floor to floor, you might say, through the many years of history, actually before history. And you have in the last, in this life, you have opened up and become more aware and awake of your spirituality in your life to a point where you are ready for ascension, Sonny.
Mm-hmm.
You are ready. You have learned the lessons, the hard way, we might say. My heart goes out to you. I am just totally enthralled inside with the accomplishments that you have become a My Fair Lady in the truest sense.
Thank you.
You are to be commended, and your angels and guides are honoring you, respecting you, and applauding you with great dignity that you have overcome such great obstacles in your life to get to this place. And it has taken a long time.
Thank you.
You are so welcome. You are a very special lady, and you are to treat yourself as such. Do you understand?
Yes, I understand. Thank you.
I have great feelings inside of how awesome this experience for you is becoming. You are growing into a new, wonderful emotional place lately, aren't you?
I hope so. Yeah. Yes. It's had its moments.
Well, those are the lessons you're learning from.
Mm-hmm.
But you're going to have the song I could have danced all night come right behind them, okay?
Thank you.
You deserve all those good feelings. You work so hard.
Mm-hmm.
You have been a very hard worker. I can feel the anguish at times that it's been a very tough path. But you are coming into being that happy person that you always have been and always will be. Just remember that.
Okay.
All right. Well, dear lady, you deserve the best, and just be sure that you are treating yourself with respect, and then others will respect you too.
Thank you.
Mac?
Yes, I'm here.
Well, let's look at a past life of yours.
There's been a lot of them.
You know you're an old soul.
Yes, I know. I remember many lives.
Mac, you came down to help people like Sonny. You're one of the 144,000 spirits that came with at the time that we didn't call him Jesus in those days, but when Jesus came down in that lifetime to start to help the people that had gotten into such deep density as Sonny did. You are one of the people that came down to help share the light so that they could see and overcome and do and grow into that, overcoming the dense energy. You have done a marvelous job over the years of being a light to others, of being of a help to others. You have had some regular lives, but the lives where you came to be of spiritual assistance have been very, very needed. You have a heart of gold. And sometimes you are too selfless, Mac. You need to do some fun things for yourself. You are such a good person out there helping so many people in so many ways, but it's okay to lighten up and laugh and just sometimes fiddle and diddle, if you know what I mean. You seem to have put yourself in a spot lately where you're overwhelmed with some projects at your house, is that right?
More or less.
It's like you feel like you have to punish yourself for that you don't deserve that happiness in a 24-hour period of time. That if you aren't working to help somebody, then you find jobs that you get lost in, so you don't have really time to be the Mac inside that you are. Do you get lost in these projects?
It can happen, yes.
I'd like you to rearrange your schedule to see if you can complete your unfinished business and get current with those projects and stay on top of them as best as you can. Some of your health conditions are because the energy is draining into those projects instead of staying in your system to produce and support your good health. Especially your heart condition. You need to take care of Mac. Not everybody, but Mac too. Do you hear what I'm saying?
I hear you, Ariel. Yes, I do.
You have a driving force to always be occupied, and that's fine, but I guess what I need to say is even God rested on the seventh day.
I guess I need to find a seventh day.
I think you just got the picture.
Thank you, Ariel.
You are so welcome. And Nancy,
Hello there.
let's see what we can do for you tonight. I would like to say, Nancy, you have broken some karma. You, with your daughter's growth and how you're handling things with less. We talked about a past life another time, remember?
Yes.
You have moved out of that karma, and I want to congratulate you.
Thank you very much. Now, was the female of when I was the female of the brother and sister, was that Anna then?
Yes,
So the brother was less and the sister was Anna.
right.
Uh-huh. And they didn't treat me very good.
No, they bullied you, intimidated you, and you tried your best to appease them and take care of them and for them to treat you in a better way. And you thought, no, if you just kind of let them walk all over you, that they'd like you. But the part of that happens is people don't respect people that when that is going on. And so you were very, very much trying to get favor from them, trying to get them to accept you as good as they were, and they weren't about to do that. They were stepchildren, I remember.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and so therefore there was that disparaging part of accepting you as a part of the family. And I would say that you have held your banner high, and you can walk right out of that situation today and say, I am no longer playing that part, I am no longer that person, I have found myself, I have respect for myself, I treat myself with love today, and it doesn't matter what they're doing. I did what they did in the past, this lifetime I did what I had to do to overcome those situations. And I would like to say, Nancy, that you overcame the bad situation with love. You have a super loving heart. You have treated so many people so kindly and so compassionately with your heart. And this is a wonderful example for everybody to see how love heals. Because even though you were treated so poorly in that other life, in this life you treated those people with love. And you gave to them, and you helped them, and you supported them, and you did everything you could in your power. and your ability to make sure things went well. And that's a very loving situation. You put love, that was one of the first talks I did when I started channeling, was to talk about putting love on situations, and that's exactly what you did, and see where it brought you. It brought you into saying that you are a fair lady tonight.
As far as Les and Anna go, that's fine, but I seem to be having big difficulties with my husband. Just as far, well, we're at the same thing, always collecting items.
You know, that really is because of his insecurity. And he's looking for love in all the wrong places. He thinks that more and more will give him what he will fill him up inside. And there's nothing you can really do to change that other than what you did with Anna and Les, is just send love to him and know that he has some parts that he needs to learn to love himself. But the problem is, if you're around him loving him, he's going to feel the walls melt, love melts, the protection, the isolation, the ice. Do you hear the word isolation? He's in emotional isolation. And it's not that you have to go out of your way. What is important is the more you love yourself, he will feel the warmth of that love, and that isolation can dissolve and disappear and melt. And just being around people that have that feeling, that is leaving their heart and actually moving out to others, that's what we're all about. That's the emotional look, what we're all looking for. And some people who are very fearful keep the wall up, and the love never gets past the wall. So let your walls down and send that love out. Pray for his health. Pray for all the things you want for yourself, for him. Let him feel that love. As you pray for him, it might take time, but I want to tell you a true story. It does work. Marilyn's daughter is married to a fellow who won't quit drinking, and she was going to leave because he loved her enough that he was willing to make whatever changes she needed to be able to stay and live in the situation. Because she's in a spiritual program and learning how to send out love, she called Marilyn recently. Have I told you this story, Nancy?
I did, yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
And she was so thrilled because instead of his old ways of handling it through fear, when he got stuck in a car, his truck, he was hunting on the top of a mountain and his keys were locked inside. And he normally would have stormed and threw a fit and acted immature and been angry and had a very, very bad happening for his day. Someone came along and helped him get the key, and he was able to go down the mountain. On the way down, he found a deer, so he was able to get his deer. And as he left the mountain, he realized if he'd left earlier, he wouldn't have got his deer, and how it all came together. And he's telling her in a happy, joking way how all of these things happened and how well it worked out. And he's got a smile on his face, and he's actually kind of joking about it. And my daughter couldn't believe his attitude had totally changed from his old way. So you see, what you've done with your daughter sending out love, whatever walls are still between you and your husband, you might want to think about that.
I'm really angry with him. Very, very. I feel like I'm married to a very, very greedy little young boy who just can't get enough. And it makes me very angry.
You have a right to be angry. However, what's it getting you?
And I wonder, is this just from this lifetime? Or is this more of a conglomeration?
I'm seeing that it's more than this lifetime. See, this is the lifetime for most people to finish up their unfinished business. As you noticed in going around the room tonight, that seems to be what's going on, isn't it? And so I would suggest you love your husband, but not his behavior. And see him you might want to think of him as a sick person. Yes, somebody who is still immature, you might think of them as sick. But you know, you go to a hospital when people are sick and you bring them flowers. And you go and visit with them. And you try to make them feel like they're comfortable, even though you know they're not feeling that well. So you try to bring a little light into their lives. And it's not because you actually were there with the flowers, it's your presence that makes the difference. And your presence will make a difference in his life when you keep knowing that. May I make a suggestion?
Yes.
I suggest to change your focus, to make a heart-to-heart connection with him. No walls, just to look into his heart and see the love that's there that he can't offer you. And just offer your love heart to heart, seeing that those outward manifestations aren't really what's important. Just because he's collecting a lot of things that cause irritation, he's a child of God. He's just as lovable as you are. And to look for that love inside his heart and change your focus from what he's doing wrong to what he's doing right. Maybe you could maximize, Casey says, to maximize the virtues and diminish the faults. Something to that effect. Because what you focus on grows, Nancy. And the more you focus on what he's doing wrong, it's going to get harder for you and you're going to get sick. That's what sickness is about. So if you want to be as healthy as possible, maximize his virtues. See in his heart what a wonderful, loving child of God he truly is. Treat him as such so he can treat himself as such. Does that make sense?
I hear what you're saying, yes. For some reason, I seem to get lost when I do things like that. When I love him, then he takes, it's more for him. And he finds a way to get more and more, and I find to be a doormat. And
well,
that's how it has worked out.
Think of it this way. We said you were a princess. There's no end to what your abundance is. So if he gets more and more, there's always more than what you can handle, more than what you need waiting for you right there. He's just collecting his share because of his insecurity, and it becomes physical for him to put in places. But your abundance is inside, and you have more than you need. So instead of seeing the lack of, see that he's just playing. He's playing a game, he with the most wins, because that's the only way right now he knows how to win. And let him win.
Yeah, I don't mean to be difficult with you, yes.
Let him win, because you're already a winner. Let him win too. Does that help?
Yeah, I work really hard cleaning the house. I get one clean space, and he sees that clean space, he rushes to it and puts things there. And it makes him feel better, so.
Have you told him how you feel? Do you ever say, I really am disappointed I got that cleaned out, and now I'll have to do it again?
Yes.
You can't argue with feelings. Gradually, if you start sharing your feelings, he's going to hear them. It's called being a broken record. It takes a while for someone like that to take the earbuds off their ears because it has not been safe to listen. And the more that you say kind things, the more that you let him just have his space. If I suggested maybe he has a space where that's acceptable, and say this is my space and this is your space, and it's like a child who has a bedroom that doesn't ever get clean and you shut the door so you don't see it.
Yes. You can catch more flies using honey than vinegar.
Exactly.
Yes.
And we do need to be reminded, because our ego is out there stopping people from moving on, and that's its job, is saying, I don't want you to be that kind of person, because what's going to happen to me? But the real truth is, what happens to you when you get past the ego part, you just become a complete and totally in the presence of God. So you don't lose anything, you actually gain. So there's no lack of, no poverty because somebody has more than you. There's always more than enough for the universe provides for everybody in this room more than you can imagine. All you have to do is open up to it and remove any barriers that are from coming your way so that it's stopped. Any mindset you have, Nancy, that stops something from coming to you has to be removed. It's not his getting less, it's you accepting more.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. Well, I think it's time for me to leave, but I'd like to say you are all totally blessed. And I want to thank you for coming and having a pleasant evening. I have enjoyed every minute of it. And I hope that you've all been benefiting from it this evening.
Thank you.
And we are so glad that you came, and have a wonderful time. And do drive safely. I understand the weather is not very pleasant out there. So good evening to you all.
God bless you.
Thank you, Ariel. Thank you for coming.
Well, everybody, I just want to say that it's been fun tonight. I'm just so glad we had Elvis back. And I know that other music was lovely, but oh, do I love Elvis. So I'm just going to say toodaloo, and everybody have a fun time.
Toodaloo.
Bye.